good evening, ladies and gentlemen, all subscribers all across the world that we have. We appreciate you tuning in this evening, and here we have another evening conversation with MossBurgh. And this evening, I am bringing someone who I've had the chance to meet, not just over social media. My brother personally knows him, and just watching what this gentleman has done with the youth first and foremost has been an amazing thing. Not to mention just with the youth, he's worked with the adults as well. 7-on-7 flag football, simple media. He does his own thing. He's the owner of that as well, and he also is a high school trainer and coach, not with just the youth, but on a high school level. And I believe that is at Central Crossing High School. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to keep you waiting. I'm going to bring this man to the stage. Here we have this evening Mr. Gage Brown, the football whiz. How are you doing this evening, Mr. Gage Brown? How are you doing? And appreciate you for joining me as well.
I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me. I'm doing good.
And the one thing, when I came across your profile, was the youth. I seen how much, you know, you work with the youth, you train, some of the things you do with your media, everything is all hands on you. Could you talk to the people a little bit, not about yourself, where you grew up from? Tell them a little bit about your story. Who is Gage Brown for those who don't know?
I'm just a kid from North Linden. Just kind of grew up in North Linden in the city league system. I went to Westone High School, played 4 years of football there. Then I went on to play football at Capital for a year or two. Had a kid kind of young age, and then from there, kind of just got into the real world. I found my way of being around football was just to continue to get back to the youth, whether that was training or coaching. I ended up getting into training, and I've been doing it for about 10 plus years now. I'm the head of football operations at Wizard Workouts, a brand that is owned and operated by my partner Jared Smith and the GOAT. But I do that with him. I've been doing that for about 10 plus years. I trained a number of guys. One of the most recent ones that just graduated and has been posted a lot is Caleb Anthony, Ibrahim Cisse. I've sent him multiple pro contracts, so on and so forth. I got plenty of guys in high school that went first team all OCC this year, first team all city, that kind of thing. I also do coaching. I've done it in the form of little league, whether that's contact or flag football or 7-on-7. I've done it at the high school level at Central Crossing High School, as you mentioned. I've also done it at the collegiate level. I did 1 year with OSU club team and coached the receivers there. So I have an extensive array of football experience, and I really just like to give back, man. There wasn't all these resources kind of when I was growing up as a young athlete. Trainers were few and far between, and it wasn't always affordable. So I just try to focus on giving back as much as I can, and keeping the main thing, which is making sure that these kids develop and get to see opportunities that they normally wouldn't.
We also have a couple of comments coming in. We have SEC Sean saying, "What's up, Mars? Good evening, SEC Sean. We appreciate you tuning in. He is one of the guys on the podcast as well as WTP for Life. He is a alumni of those Weststone Braves as well. We appreciate you both for tuning in this evening. And as you spoke about North Linden going to Whetstone, um, being in that area, I think we both have that same thing in common. I went to East. Westone was a school I was supposed to go to, but things happen, and I think it was the greatest thing for me as well. But coming from North Linden, going to Whetstone, coming up, seeing what we would see throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout our lifetime. What was the one thing that made you want to make a change? Because I know it didn't start when you got older. I know it had to happen at a young age, but knowing certain things to where you could make that mark? What pushed you to that?
Yeah, at a young age, I want to say about 16 years old, 17 years old. I ended up actually getting into some trouble with the law, and I think that was my turning point of you can't be a thug and a football player. You got to choose one. So after that point, I think that's where I kind of pivoted to like at that point I was still taking football serious, but I realized, hey, if you take it serious, that means staying out of trouble too. And that's kind of where I pivoted into taking it very serious and then after high school, that kind of is what motivated me to guide these young men that to different places and different avenues, or give them places to be instead of being in trouble. Because it takes one mistake, and then your whole career could be down the drain and everything you work for. And a lot of people think there are a lot of second chances out there, which they do happen, but a lot of times one mistake can cost you and you just don't want to be that athlete who should have been somebody. You want to be the athlete who ended up being somebody. You know what I mean? And whether that means just getting out, getting a free education, and then moving on to the real world, which is fine. Not everybody goes pro. Not everybody plays Division I football. The goal is to get out of here and go experience something else later on in life, and get a free education. That way you can set yourself up for whatever it is you're trying to do after football.
Agree, man. I can't not disagree with anything you said. And when you speak of those things, that presents the student athlete, that village, upbringing. And growing up in South London, I know you remember part of the village, which raised and shaped us, and we have so many things in common and alike when it comes to wizard workouts, being able to not work with just the youth, but work with guys going to that next level, college, and to the pros, you know, being at your age, what are ways that you continue to not just push them, but say, hey, you're gonna come across this obstacle. Before those things happen, what is something you could tell the people that may think is gonna be the hardest thing? Could you explain to them about the work you put in is the work that you get out?
Yeah, well, just trying to explain it to them in that way is like no one's gonna come get you to do it, right? So your parents can bring you here, but if you're not motivated once you get here, listen, you're wasting everybody's time. And that's a conversation that I have with a lot of athletes who come in, and it seems like they want to be there, but then they kind of don't. And it's like, look, man, look, do you want this or you don't? Because at this point, you don't come here and waste anybody's time, including yours. Because if you're coming out here and you half stepping and you're not really getting better at the end of the day, man, you costing yourself time. Tell your parents you don't really want to do this, or you don't really say you don't want it how you really say you do. But it's just kind of a motivation too of being relatable. I always lace my cleats up, and I'll always do everything I ask them to do. That's something that I always lead by example, and I think that separates me from a lot of trainers is I will still lace my cleats up. I still will work out with them. I still will go through the same things I'm asking them to go through. And it's not because I need to or because it helps me stay young or anything of the sort, which it does, and I'm grateful for it. But at the end of the day, I'll never ask you to do anything I wouldn't do myself type of thing. This is what it takes to get to the next level. This is what it takes to go to the next level. And when it comes to kind of like doubting the work, being put in, I always tell people, look, there's a track record of athletes that I got that you can go search on Instagram or search on Facebook, and you can see the path they took. They on the same path you was. They went through the same work you going through. Look where they at now. So if that's where you want to go, trust me, I know how to get you there. If you think that I can't get you there, then no hard feelings. I'm not for everybody at the end of the day. There's a million trainers in the world, and there's hundreds in Columbus alone that are great at what they do. And there's a different type of response to different types of training for every kid. So not every kid is going to be responsive to the way that I teach the game and or motivate them. Just like it's not going to be for every other trainer.
Yeah, I agree. And I always go back. We have so much of that in common of the North Linden, being a product of North Linden, being able to have a dream to be this, possible NFL player. We always dreamed of those things, being an NBA player. But you are not just being a trainer, you're being a part of many stories, and not just the development, the push, the growth, and what they love to do, in that sport, which is football. Um, what are those things that you think about for the next person to say, Mr. Brown, what can I do to make my next day better? What can I do to make my week better? What can I do to get better these next few years? What can you say
Make
to
the
those?
most out of it. Take advantage of every minute. Every second you got a chance to get better, whether you believe it or not. A lot of kids, I put it in perspective like this. If you at home playing 2K in your bedroom, those are hours you could be using getting better. And here's the thing, you don't even got to stop playing 2K to get better. You could be in there doing squats. You could be in there doing wall sits while you playing 2K. You could be in there occupying your mind, but still getting better. It's how bad do you want it? Because like I said before, I mean, your parents can push you. I can motivate you, we can drag you along on this journey that you say you want, but if you don't really want it, it's kind of one of them things where you just won't see progress. You have to be intense about it. There's got to be a mindset of I'm going after this, and I'm going to do it with everything I got. Every time I do a rep, every time I do show up somewhere, I'm going to be as locked in as professional as I can be. When it comes to getting better, you have to be serious about it. And I know that sounds so cliche at times, but you have to really take it serious. And you have to live that every moment of the day. When you at school, and we talking about, like you said, student athlete. When you at school, are you doing the right things? Do you got good relationships and connections with teachers? Or would they have good things to say about you if a recruiter walked up to them and said, "Tell me about such and such"? When you out in public, are you setting a good example? Are you causing chaos at restaurants and so on and so forth, stores? Or are you the guy that in your neighborhood does things for your neighbors and so on and so forth? So there's things that you can do that separate you just in general as a person. And I focus on that more so when I'm training athletes than anything. It is a mental and character thing. Like mental health is huge. Character building is huge. We teach these athletes how to be athletes so often they forget how to be people. So I always tell my athletes when I'm training them, look, we're gonna become a great person first, and then we'll become a good athlete. Because becoming a great person just builds good habits of you becoming a great athlete. Because if you already just in everyday life locked in, and you going to school and doing the right things, and then you going home and doing the right things, by the time you get to me at training, you gonna already be in the flow of doing the right things. So then you gonna come get the most out of whatever we're gonna do at that session.
So the next question we have a few questions in the comments, and one question we have from at WTP for Life. He said, "Was there an adult that had a great influence on you?"
Yeah, so my uncle, I had an uncle. His name was Uncle Tom. When I was younger, I kind of came up in the foster system. And they ended up taking me in when I was younger. And when he first got me, that's why I played football in the first place. He took me, he introduced me to the game. Said, "Hey, if you want to be angry and you and you want to take it out on the world, this is the place you can do it. Strap your pads on and go after it." And then I kind
Definitely.
of just fell in love with the game of football after that. So my uncle was a huge influence. He always told me, don't be scared to speak up. The worst thing that people can tell you is no. So that's why I never have a problem asking for an opportunity or asking for help or asking, you know what I mean, for some kind of support. Because it take a village to do all of this stuff. But it also takes some guidance. And yeah, my uncle was a huge influence in those ways. He instilled some good morals and principles, but through the game of football. Football was my kind of my vehicle. When I didn't act right, he took it away, and that made me get my head right away. And if I was doing the right things, you know what I mean, and I was going to school, playing football, keeping my head cool, doing all those things, then it was okay. After the game, we'll go out to eat type of thing. So it was kind of like punishment and reward. But it was in a sense of something that I loved. He knew that football was something that I loved to do. So, the more you keep your head on straight, the more you get to do this thing you love to do because it's a privilege at the end of the day. No one owes an athlete the right to play their sport. Like, a coach can take it away from you, your parents can take it away from you, it can be taken away, an injury can take it away from you. Like the game can be snatched away from you at any given moment. So it's a privilege to play it. You gotta treat it like it.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that. When you mentioned injury, you know, what is one thing you could say, to anyone that's, whether it's you're dealing with an injury now, or you've coming from an injury. What is that? What is that mindset? You know, I
It
know some people.
depends where you want to end up at the end of it. So I always tell everybody that. Because everybody gets injured kind of at different points in their career. First thing you got to think are, do I want to come back and actually make a run at playing this game again? Once you answer that question, that kind of sets the tone for what you're going after. If you say I'm trying to come back and play this game, you need to go into rehab and training like it is practice now. You need to replace the game, basketball, football, whatever you're doing with rehab. It needs to become your new game to beat, your new thing to win, your new championship to obtain. You got to treat it like that. I would never tell an athlete to push themselves to a point of being too uncomfortable. But when you're also doing rehab, you don't want to baby yourself too much. You got to find that medium of like pushing yourself just a little bit and taking care of yourself a lot. But in a sense of you just have to you got to know what you want at the end of it, and then that kind of sets the tone. If you want to come back and play, you got to go attack it like it is a game, like it is something you try to win. If you're not, I mean, you can take it a little bit easier. You're not coming back to play the game. You just trying to get back healthy as a regular person. You can kind of just go at it with a, hey, I'm just trying to get back right. As long as you kind of do the bare minimum, you can always get back to regular life. But to come back as an athlete and better than ever, you have to attack it in a way of kind of being crazy. Like, I'm gonna push myself through this ACL injury or this so on and so forth injury harder than anybody ever has. Like, you got to kind of want to outwork anybody who's ever done it before you. I personally have torn my ACL and came back from it. It took me 7 months, but like I said, I went at it like a madman. I kind of pushed myself sometimes to places that were a little uncomfortable. But I'm better than ever now. I still play ball right now. It is flag football, but I still compete at a high level. So I still get out there and train, run around, run routes. So it's something that you can definitely come back from. It's never over. But you can't let anybody tell you what your limit is. You gotta kind of just go after it.
We got another question from one of the guys from Post Game 86. Good to see you post game as well. Said, when you're surrounded by athletes, is there anything you notice about them that makes you say this dude is going to be a baller without knowing any of them?
I would say the kid who has the attention to detail. The kid that I can explain the drill to one time and he hits every move like he's supposed to, is the kid that I'm like he's gonna be a dog because he gets it. He gets how serious it is to be right on point and to understand what's going on. It's an IQ thing for me, personally. Kids at a young age who have a very high IQ, I'm like that kid gets it and he's gonna be a dog as long as he's around the right people. Not saying that IQ can alone make you a dog. Obviously, there's a lot more that plays into it, but when you have a high IQ and a high eagerness to just pay attention and learn and pay attention to detail when you're young, those kids usually end up being dogs because they're training with high schoolers. Say like I got some 10-year-olds who can hang with high schoolers and can train and do those drills, and then I got some 10-year-olds, you know what I mean, who are on the 10-year-old level. So it's like
Yeah,
it's just one of them things of how much can they tap into being a dog.
yeah, I agree. And when you when you mention as we've been talking so much about football, there's someone that I'm speaking with, Mr. Brown, that is in yourself, 7 on 7. Not just that you play, coach, but you win 7 on 7 championships, all across the world. Tell the people a little bit about that 7 on 7 flag football team that I keep hearing about, that you haven't called me up about. I'm a safety in the corner. I like getting out there a little bit, man. But tell us a little bit about this 7 on 7 flag football that you do.
Yeah, so I play flag football at a high level. It's kind of just something that I kind of picked up after high school. At first, it just started as something to just keep me around the game. I was just thrown kind of in normal everyday life after college. Didn't really have an opportunity to play after that while raising my son. Someone kind of introduced me to the game. Back then, like I said, it was a small game. It wasn't really nationally known or almost in the Olympics like it is now, or so on and so forth. Just some stuff we did on a Sunday just to show up, say we win a championship, have fun with each other, stay young. Over the years, it kind of blew up. They started being, nationally known all over the country and so on. I traveled the country. I've been, Vegas, Colorado, Florida, which is where nationals usually are. I'm heading down there in January actually to play this year, but I played for several different teams. I've won a lot, I've lost a lot, but at the end of the day, it's really just kept me young. I'm 32 years old, and I'm still able to put my cleats on and go play the game at a high level with dudes who, you know what I mean, have played D1 college ball and pros before. And flag was just the thing that, like I said, it kept me around the game, it kept me young. And it just was always to me a little safer than playing semi-pro. I tried this semi-pro thing for a minute, and it just was too much of a risk. Having to go to work and take care of my kid. Flag just seemed, to be my thing. I'm a little bit smaller and more athletic too, so flag just kind of just seemed to fit my groove. And just something that I've done over the last 10, 15 years. Just to, like I said, stay young and stay in the game.
Sweet man. I like the way you broke it down, and when you mentioned family, and those things, what can you say to the next person that's stuck in between, making that choice of going to play professional, or like yourself just want to sit back and still enjoy the game, but be effective in many more ways, as we see you have been with the 7-on-7 and youth as well with this football.
Yeah, like I always tell my athletes, look, man, there's always life after football, and there's always a way to stay around the game after you're done playing the game. Even if you just want to recreationally play the game, you can do that. Like there is flag football and so on and so forth for adults. But even if you just want to, hang the cleats up in general, which a lot of my older athletes have done. I've had people who graduated college and it's like, I'm just kind of done with the game, bro. I don't really want to do this anymore. But I want to be around it. So I always get them hit to how to train, how to become a coach, how to do things like that. Still be around the game in ways that will still feed their soul, because it is something that I think once you take on as a hobby for majority of your life, and you're a player, it's something that kind of just really don't leave you after you leave the game. So I always like kind of offer advice of just like, if you don't want to go to that next level and you don't want to chase, playing indoor football or whatever because you didn't get an NFL tryout or so on and so forth, man, it's kind of like, um, I just tell people, you know what I'm saying, it's cool to hang them up. There's still a way to be around the game. You don't have to play for the rest of your life. I just was blessed to have the health to be able to do it. And if you still want to, I mean, you even got, Rogers Cromartie still out there playing flag football. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Retired pro football player. And he's still out there just staying young. I mean, and that's really what it's about, is just having some fun and staying young. There is some things to win. It is in the Olympics now, so now it's kind of like on a bigger scale where people can actually make this a career choice with football. I mean, you have so many avenues now with the UFL, the Canadian Football League, Arena Football Leagues, all the overseas football, NFL football, XFL. I mean, you got so many opportunities after to go play the game. I always tell people explore all your options first before you hang your cleats up. Make sure this is something you don't want to do. But if it's something you're really convinced you just don't love to do every single day anymore, you don't want to wake up and go run into people anymore. There's ways to be around the game without doing that.
I agree. And SEC Sean, he has a great question as well for you. Thank you for chiming in and asking that question as well. What would you say is your favorite part of training, mentoring the youth?
I would say crossing the finish line. Like when a kid signs that letter of intent, that is my favorite part of it. When I can look back and be like, man, I really been with you for this many years. We really did this many sessions. We really sweat for this many hours. It's like it really is gratification to see them obtain what they've been chasing for so long.
Yeah,
Because like I tell them all the time, look, this ain't for me. This is for you. I played my ball. I lived my dreams out. I am solely here to help you chase yours, only if you want them though. And the ones who usually show that they want it and they show up and they take it serious, they usually sign those letters of intent. And that is probably the most gratifying thing probably that I get out of training. Other than that, it's just being around them. I work an everyday job, you know what I mean? I'm a contractor by day, I'm a trainer by night when it comes to the football stuff. So after a long day of work, man, and like everybody kind of has that moment where it's like, I just had a long day. I'm just tired.
yeah,
They give me life. I walk in, we get to training. They always so goofy because they kids. They got all the energy in the world. So sometimes my favorite part is just like walking in the room and them being excited to see me and kind of just lifting me back up of like, we know you tired from work, but like we need an hour out of you type deal. You know what I mean? Like pick the energy up, coach. So
That's funny.
that's kind of one of my favorite parts is the way they kind of pick me up sometimes without even knowing it.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you mentioned that, man. And I think, a lot more awareness need to be brought just by what you just said. Respect to those. I give flowers to you, and all those out, across the world, man. That takes that, 15, 30, 45 to an hour with the youth, spending that time and giving them the time of their life that you given with them, because that's all they ask for is time. Showing up. I think that's a big thing, today, growing up, for a lot of youth. We remember the village, and we see it, but we don't see it like we used to see it. And me and you will talk more about that. That's something I know we could definitely kick back and laugh about years down the road, because of some things that I would love to do, and be a part of what you're doing as well. And as we, continue this conversation, you also have Simple Made Media. Talk to us about Simple Made Media.
Civil made media is legit my hobby. So a lot of people will think football is my hobby, but after a while, that kind of became a lifestyle. Football is just something that I wake up and just kind of naturally do every day. It's second nature at this point. I don't have to think about football to talk it, to watch it, none of that. It kind of just comes to me, right? But I like to have hobbies, and I like to, I feel like, have a little depth to me, which means I like to be multifaceted. I like to be able to do a lot of different things, and which is like marketing. Sometimes I've dabbled in that, photography, training. There's a lot of things that I try to do on the side just to kind of make me feel creative. And Simple Made Media was one of those. People started shooting pictures of athletes, and I thought, hey, that's cool. I've never charged anybody to shoot. I've never really taken it too serious with like booking sessions or anything like that. It's just something that when I know I'm going to a football field to watch maybe, certain kids that I've trained play, or when I used to coach at certain places, I would just bring the camera with me. When I go play in Florida, I bring it with me all the time, and I just kind of freelance shoot. I don't like I said, I don't charge anybody. I post it all up on my page for free. I don't do any crazy editing or any type of gimmicks, or it's literally I shoot, I put it on my iPhone, I quick edit it, and then I post it. It's just something that's just it's legit a hobby for me. Photography is just a cool thing to me. And I think I got an eye for sports photography in general. Just because I do play football, so I can kind of see things happening before they actually happen. So I think I take some cool flicks, and that kind of was the end of it. So I just kind of carry a camera around sometimes, and you'll see me shooting.
Yeah, I like that. It's funny you mentioned that, because I think we definitely have so many more conversations that we gonna have and talk about when it comes to that, because I feel the same way. And some of the things I do, as well as what we do now, what we're doing here, having this interview, sitting down. This is something that, years ago you asked me what I'd be doing, I would say I have no idea, have no clue, but it's something that I've came become to love. And it's just like you said, having that depth, and just being creative. So, we'll get to that talk much more another day. Is there anyone along this journey which made you, I know you spoke on Uncle, we call him Uncle Tom and things like that. Anyone along this journey that made you Gabe Brown? Being a father, I know those things are not easy, but anyone, coaches, anyone out there that you would like to send, a shout out to, a thank you, anyone, at this time.
I mean, there's a lot of people, but just not really one in particular that kind of drove me to be who I am or kind of chase what I was chasing. I tell people all the time, like I kind of really don't know how I ended up here. It was kind of just a lot of gut feelings of I just don't want to be a product of the hood. I just don't want to be a product of North Linden. It's kind of what drove me. It wasn't really a person. It was more of a stereotype, I guess. I just didn't want to be another kid from this area who didn't take advantage of opportunities and or just was a problem child. And it kind of just drove me to make certain decisions along the way, like getting good grades in high school and turning my life around and just things like that. It was just a lot of gut feelings of just later on this is gonna make sense. And I didn't always understand it in the moment when I would make certain decisions or move certain ways. But later on, now we see where we're at and why we're here. So the purpose is a lot more clear now. But not really one person. I would just say it was more of a feeling. It was more of a uh, not really wanting to end up a certain way.
Yeah, I like the way you break that down. And, like I said, man, just coming from South Linden, I think that definitely, I think that motivates us and pushes. Is there anything you could say to anyone if you, I'm sure, everybody, or, I'm not going to say everybody, people have heard different things, you know, not so good about South Linden. Could you tell people about South Linden, the things that they don't see about South
The
Linden?
Linden area is more of a community than people would like to lead on. Yes, it is a rough community, and there are areas that are a lot rougher than others, but it was always a community nonetheless. I mean, you show up for each other. You know what I mean? You always had somebody kind of like looking out for the kids. At least when I was growing up. I know times are a little bit different now, and the world in general is not as safe as it used to be, but I remember running around, the Linden area, and all my friends' parents had permission to tell me to go home, or you know what I mean, to call my parents and tell them what I'm doing, or so on and so forth. So there was a sense of community there. Linden is a thriving community as well. The high school over there. I mean, now that someone is pouring into that and caring a lot more about that, I mean, you see the sports are getting better. The academics, I would imagine, are getting better if the sports are getting better because that means more kids are eligible to play. It's a community area and it is a rough one. And a lot of people just they misunderstand it because of the rough edges that it has. But if you dive into it, you'll just see that it just may be a bunch of people who just have some life struggles that are kind of just trying to figure it out together. And with a little bit of support from the rest of the city, which the city should support each other more in general, just as the city of Columbus, places like that can thrive more when the right people go back to pour into it. So yeah, just growing up there, like I said, I always had that feeling of kind of I don't want to be the stereotypical product of Linden. So people couldn't point that finger and say it's because of where you came from. So now I sit where I sit and I tell people where I came from still and I'm proud of it. And I say I'm a product of that area. And I pour into it and I put on for it every time that I can. I never shy away from about where I'm from, or how I grew up, or the environment in which I was raised. It actually is, kind of the brutal truth. And sometimes the thing that I need to relate to some of these kids, when it's like, look, man, I know you think it's rough, like I get it. And when they like, nah, you don't get it for real. It's like, I'm from one of those places. Like, and then when you have that conversation and they have the conversation with the parents, they're like, oh, okay, it's really rough over there. Like Coach Gage not just bluffing. A lot of what I say is I usually say, it's blunt, honest, and real. I'm never gonna sugarcoat nothing for you. Because at the end of the day, we ain't got time to waste. You only got so much time to be successful. And kind of like someone else has it bad too. I know you got the saying of like, someone always has it worse, but my thing is someone else has it bad too. What you gonna do about your bad? There's people who have it worse than you who get it out the mud and they figure it out. So you can definitely figure it out from where you at. So what you gonna do about your bad? Because someone else got it bad too, and guess what? They still woke up today and they got to work. They trying to figure out a way out. Either you figure out a way out, or you let that become your circumstances and define you. You know what I mean? But it's just one of them things. Like you can be a product of your environment, or you can make it out like me, and be a mentor and be, even better. I tell people, you can even be more of a testament to, this community by making it out and going and getting a college degree. Go to the NFL. Go, you know what I mean? Find ways to give back to your community in even bigger ways than I am. Because that's kind of the goal is to teach these kids, look, if you get it a little bit sooner than we did, and not go through some of the rough patches we did, you can do even greater things than we did. Because a lot of these kids will look up to us and be like, "You're so great, you're so dope, you to go." All that stuff they like to say nowadays, but what they don't realize is that they have the potential to be 10 times what they think we are right now. If they just kind of take the advice that we spill into them and say, yo, get it a little bit earlier, man, and you could be even more.
Yes, sir. I agree, man. So what are the goals? WTP for Sports Dudes asks. He said, "What are the some of your goals in the next 5 years?"
In the next 5 years, my goals would probably be to own and operate my own gym. I want my own physical location and facility, which is something that I've actually got into the works right now, which is the first time I've actually been really, really serious about chasing it. But I want a physical location. I want a place where I can bring these kids not only to train, but just in case they need somewhere to hang out. All my kids know it's bigger than football. I tell them that all the time. It's always bigger than football. Every conversation we end with, I love you. Like it is a real genuine connection with any athlete that I have. It's organic. None of this is, just football or just stage or you're only good to me in this facet or so on and so forth. These kids got access to me 24/7. They can Instagram me whenever they want. They can message me whenever they want. They got my phone number, Instagram, Facebook. So it's always bigger than football to me. So in the next 5 years, my goal would be just to obtain that physical location and turn it into a spot where some of the best training in Columbus happens, but also where some of the best impact and community outreach happens, where we can do events and we can give kids just a place to come and say they, train for an hour, but they just want to hang out for a couple more after. And we hang some Xboxes and TVs and things like that, where they just want to hang out and just watch football. There's a Thursday night game. We do, things like that. I just want it to be a place where kids can go to feel like they are a part of something, and get whatever comfortability they need or whatever talks they need to have had and things like that. Somewhere where they can, run to, which a lot of us from places like North Linden or the west side of, the hilltop of Columbus or
Yeah,
places like that didn't really have a place to kind of run to. So we just ran to what we knew was comfortable, which was kind of the streets at times, and running around and finding mischief to get into. So I'm trying to get to that point of providing a safe haven kind of for the youth, in the form of football training.
anytime you need, man, just you got my number now, man. Anytime, man. I think we have so many, the like-minded goals. Something that I would love to do, this in this area, but that's definitely another conversation we'll have. But I got your back. Whatever you need from me, it don't matter how much time it is. I got you when it comes to that, man. No, no problem. Um, just thinking about everything, man. I can't thank you enough. From accepting a phone call way back when it was not knowing what we would be able to bring to the platform in this interview today, but you aced this interview with flying colors. You graduated, man. No problem at all, man. This was great. I can't thank you enough, for joining myself, MossBurgh, for this Wednesday evening conversation, and looking forward to having many more conversations as well. Is there any websites, any social media that you would like for the people to know that they could reach out to you on as well?
My personal Instagram is at the football wiz 02. My personal Facebook is just my name, Gage Brown. If you want to find any of our training content and or just kind of things that we post training wise, that would be at Wizard Workouts. Those are kind of the main three that I kind of operate through. Simple Made Media is just at Simple Made Media. If you ever want to catch any of the flicks, I don't really upload a whole lot. I probably got more pictures than I got posts. Still stuck in my phone, but I mean, yeah. As far as Wizard Workouts go, training will be started up as soon as I get back from playing in Florida, which will be the week of the 12th. So 12th through the 18th, I'll be out of town. As soon as we get back on the 21st, I'm going full blown. We have a new program called Young Wizards Academy. Young Wizards Academy is going to be geared towards athletic training, obviously for football players, and or athletes in general. But it will also put a heavy emphasis on mental health, and character building. We really want to dive more into that, because, like I said earlier, to me, the separation between certain athletes is the mental, is the IQ, is the things that you're teaching them kind of up here, because this is where it starts. This is where everything fires from. So a good mental is always going to lead to a good athlete, in my opinion. So we always start with that. That's kind of really all I got going on right now. As far as coaching, we got 7-on-7 going on with Made Football. I believe the Instagram handle is at Made Athletes 7v7. If anybody wants to check that out, we going on road. I believe January 31st to February 1st, we'll be in Indiana for our first tournament. I'm sure we'll be posting videos, content, live streams for that. Um, Outside of that, I think that's kind of all I got going on. I really appreciate you having me on here, man, giving me the platform to kind of just, talk about this stuff. I really do push, like I said, organic and authentic. Nothing that we do over here on our side as far as widget workouts or anything that I do in the football realm of smoke screens. We're real genuine and authentic with it. Anybody who would love to come find out, we'd love to have you. That's kind of where I'm at.
Oh man, I totally agree with you wholeheartedly, man. Whatever you just heard, it's not whatever you heard. Everything you heard, make sure you tap in. It's official. I don't just see the videos; I see the clips. And myself, I thought you was literally a D1 somewhere in that realm of what you do because what I see is great, and it's, something that need to be seen more. So, like you said, if you hear those channels, go tap in, go sign up, make sure you get your
Oh, real quick, that's what I forgot.
program.
Blackout flag football. Blackout underscore FFB. Go follow them as well in the spring. Sorry, that was way far ahead. That's why it
You
kind of slipped my
good? You
mind.
good? You good?
In the spring we will be doing flag football. I will be with the 10U as well, just like I am with the 7v7. But Blackout flag football is a major brand that I coach for and push. It is owned by my boy Nick Black. We started it, I want to say, a couple years ago. We started with 0 followers. We up to a few thousand. We have traveled all over the country with these kids, played in major tournaments, won major tournaments. We continue to put them on the map. So if anybody's interested in playing and or just kind of following along and watch us kind of put on for Columbus at these different tournaments out of town, that's another thing that y'all can tap into as well.
Make sure y'all do that, man. Tap into everything, everything. You'll love it. And again, man, like I said, I appreciate you joining for another conversation this evening with MossBurgh, and be looking forward to doing so many more things with you throughout the next few years, next few months even. I can't wait to get into it, man. But it was just a pleasure having you this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to follow all the channels that you see down at the bottom. We got at WTP for Life. We have at FanDuel Zay. We have at Blissberg Podcast. We have at Post Game 86. We have City League TV. We have FanDuel Zay. We have SEC Chon. SEC Shine brings in NASCAR. With City League TV, we're going to be doing a ton of live streams as we've done for our high school football. We're going into our City League basketball season. So make sure you stay tuned in. Friday night, we don't know which game we're going to pop up at, but just know we're going to be in the building somewhere. Boys or girls high school basketball. We're going to definitely do that. And make sure you like and subscribe to all these channels. And don't forget any and everything that my man Gage Brown said. So tap into that and make sure you tap in the Blackout, because that flag football is something that's starting to move and groove like it's moving on a professional level. And I think that'll be something that in the next few years will be a professional sport, and we'll have to sit down in the stands and actually pay to go see these athletes. So shout out to what you do, man. I appreciate again the time, everything you do, not with just the youth, but with the adults as well, and your flag football as well. So, man, can't wait to have another conversation. If you don't have anything else to say, as we do, man, if you don't mind throwing up them good old peace signs here at WTP Sports Dudes. Gage Brown, I appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you tap into everything and go check it out. And make sure you get some of them signups so he could teach your son, your athlete, some great things to get them onto that next level of what they love to do in their sport. Other than that, as we always do, man, peace. And we out here at
Appreciate you,
WTP.
my man.
Man, appreciate you as well, man. You have a good evening, and I'm gonna definitely tap in and hit you up for sure.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Have a good one.